Chapter 1. The beast grabbed Mel with a gray-skinned hand and dragged her across the rutted dirt road. He wrenched her away from the wooden carriage, from those who might have saved her, the coarse dirt and stones shredding the soles of her feet. She fought him, scratching the thick arm around her waist and the inhumanly strong fingers clamping her ribs like a vice. His other hand covered her mouth, muffling her screams. Her attacker, no kind of creature she had ever encountered before, lumbered toward the trees where she knew they'd be swallowed up from sight, with no chance for rescue. She tried to push strength to her arms, to redirect it into her shoulders so she could twist and strike him in his neck or groin, but he had immobilized her body and her mind. She had none of her mask-trained abilities left. A strange mental cloudiness crippled her, destroying her ability to focus. It rendered her dizzy and nauseated. She was at half of her strength, if that. He crushed her against his dirt-caked side, dragging her off the road into the trees. "You will not die this way. You will find a way out of this mess. Think." She forced herself to calm down. She was a scholar despite her current appearance. The filmy white dress, the matching silk ribbon now torn from her hair, the useless paper-thin shoes that had fallen off. She needed to tamp down the fright, but she was not used to dealing with her emotions. She needed to fight through the foreign haziness of her thoughts and try to observe them, to gather information and to figure out a solution to this problem. The staccato gasps of air she could take through her nose weren't enough to identify him by scent. She could hardly breathe. She knew he smelled like the worst kind of awful only from the first moments of the attack. His powerful odor had filled her nose in the seconds before he pulled her from the carriage. But now, she couldn't smell anything. She focused instead on what she could see. The hand covering the lower half of her face was larger than a man's. He wasn't human. His fingers were gray, caked with brown dirt, and locked together, effectively forming a muzzle. She couldn't bite him, though she tried to. One side of her face and an ear were smashed against his chest, so she listened to his breathing. His breathing was uneven and rasping with obstruction, but telling of an enormous capacity under his ribs. He was very large. The entire length of her body traversed his ribs and dangled just a hand or two above the ground. She was a mere doll in his grip, small prey easily overcome. She paid attention to his gait, which was uneven, possibly from a deformity or injury. He wore a coarse tunic and breeches made from animal skins, and a thick belt that secured a large, wooden-handled tool or weapon, an axe maybe. While the clothes were rough, they seemed expertly made. Under her questing fingertips, the stitching on the band of the leather around his waist was fine and well done. He lurched unevenly down a slippery incline, jarring her limbs, momentarily knocking the breath out of her. She steadied her rapid breathing but could not control the shakiness of her inhalations. Her eyes burned as a fever overtook her, and her head swam. She struggled to rein in her thoughts. Whatever he was, he had rendered her a normal person.